Hello everyone, welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast. Today we have comedian Kat Moore on to discuss comedy in Los Angeles. She is one of my open mic buddies here in LA. And she's a great performer. She's performed at the Ice House and the Hollywood Improv. She's really talented, a real up-and-comer. I'm so excited to have her on to talk about the shit we talk about today. Anyways, if you enjoy the podcast, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really is a huge support to me and to my podcast that I have going on here. Anyways, enjoy today's episode and have a lovely time watching. Goodbye. So, this is the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast. Welcome back. Thank you for being here today. This is Kat Moore. She's a comedian here in Los Angeles, and we are going to talk about female complicity, female misogyny, and the ever-surfacing trend of women emulating men in the media. And we also have a new segment where we list our top 10 movie and television characters that we find are feminist and we find not feminist. Or that we find...
We'll go into more detail when we get it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a complicated one with that last segment.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so female complicity. Let's start with female misogyny. I think that's more
Do you
broader.
mean female complicity?
Complicity. That's how I spelt it. Complicity.
It's a hard one.
It is.
Yeah.
You
some
know,
people can't say spaghetti. Some people can't say complicity. It happens.
Complicity.
There you go.
Complicity.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Did it.
I told myself I wasn't going to say anything, and then I did anyway. It's too bad.
I did it.
Okay, so we want to start with female misogyny?
Let's start with female misogyny there because I can say that. And then we'll go to female complicity.
Okay.
The city of
Complex, yeah.
Yes.
So, female misogyny, that's a really tricky issue to describe. Well, with one, some people describe misogyny as active hatred with women, and some people describe misogyny as actions that kind of enforce the status quo, enforce the patriarchy. I'm more inclined to go toward the second definition because I feel like if you have misogyny only as examples of real hatred of women, while that is prevalent, it's not as common, and so it makes it harder to recognize its different forms.
It's not like men aren't, like, it's not He-Man woman haters. Like, women, like, joining that club and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. And so when I was thinking about female misogyny when I was getting ready for this, I think there's definitely different reasons that people end up being female misogynists. I don't think anyone's ever going to think of themselves as a female misogynist because it is counterintuitive, right? How could I be against women when I am a woman myself?
Because we hate ourselves. So it's like when we hate other women, we don't really notice. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like we put that hatred on ourselves all the time.
Right,
you know?
Absolutely.
I look ugly. You know, I look fat. You know, so when I see a girl that I think looks ugly or I think looks fat, you know what I mean? Then it's like, it takes that pressure off me for a second. For me to not feel ugly and fat, you know?
Right.
And so, with like, and it's the same thing with intelligence and with humor and with anything and with any good quality that a woman has. There's going to be another woman that's insecure about that quality and will attack it in another woman to make her, to alleviate that from herself.
That definitely is one factor of why you would end up being a female misogynist, to feel better about yourself. And when we get to this segment, when I was preparing the segment about the 10 female characters in media that I find strong while being examples of feminism, I really wanted to include this character called Emma Morley in the book One Day. Don't watch the movie. It doesn't translate. But in the book One Day, I adored Emma because she was bookish and she...
This was the Anne Hathaway movie?
Yes, not good.
Oh my god, that part where she dies was hilarious, though. Oh my god.
I didn't finish the movie because I loved the book too much.
The part where she dies was funny.
Well, there we go. I proved that.
Oh,
that proves my point.
Okay, so like, it's like, you know she's gonna die when the scene starts.
Really?
That's what's great about it. Is that you're like, I don't know how this
I know.
that book to
I don't know what
translation.
happens. I don't know how it happens. I don't know when it happens. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I know Anne Hathaway is gonna get hit by a bus. You know what I mean? Like, I just know it. You just listen to, like, riding her bike through the city, and it's, like, all subtle and, like, quiet, and you don't think anything's gonna
build up too much.
So it's like in that movie, Walk Hard, where it's like, nothing bad's gonna happen today. You know, it's literally like, nothing bad's gonna happen to Anne Hathaway. Nothing bad. Nothing. She's just riding her bike through London. Like, nothing's gonna happen.
And I feel so justified in my decision to not finish the movie. So
I know, and that poor man who was just wanted to be with her all of his life. They were just like, it was so tragic. Like, they just, like, couldn't make it work, and then they finally made it work, and she dies.
Right. No, it's a great book with the romance. I love it, and I really wanted to include her in one of my top feminist examples in media, but then I was rethinking it, and I couldn't find. She consistently overjudges women throughout the book. She doesn't really have strong female relationships in the book, and she consistently looks down on other women for either being too sexual or too... I think it's that age-old trap where, and I related to Emma Morley because I was a bookish person myself. She's very insecure. The author, who's male, does a good job in a way of entering a female psyche, but where you can kind of see that it's a guy writing it, is in her thoughts of other women. I've yet to meet a woman who doesn't have any strong female friendships in her life. They're rarer than you'd have people believe. And I couldn't include her on my list because of how mean she was in her thoughts toward other women. It was consistently over-judgmental, and she looked down on other women for being too bubbly or for being too, at the same time, too harsh and against, or for just dating the guy that she was interested in, almost. And so it kind of hurt my heart a little bit because I was so attached to that character. And you see ways that just because somebody is a strong female character, just because she's accomplishing things and she has her own agency, it doesn't mean that she's not also a female misogynist in her own way. It doesn't mean that she's... Just because someone is strong and is capable and is successful doesn't mean they're not also looking down on other women as they do it. So that's why I think it is kind of a surreptitious, kind of a sneaky faction in misogyny, is when it's against women against other women with that.
I feel like the women that I feel like animosity to is like, that's not they don't deserve, you know what I mean? But it's just like I meet them and then my you know what I mean? Like my ears go back and stuff, you know, my scales, you know.
Right, and I wonder if part of it is because
they're always super feminine. They're always super feminine, high pitched voices and stuff, and it's like, because I feel like those, like, the things that I'm hating on them for are stuff that people hate on me for sometimes. But it's like I see it in a more severe way in somebody else. So like a girl that's more feminine than me, like a girl that's more like, who's like wears shorter skirts than me and has bigger boobs than me and like has blonde hair and stuff, you know what I mean? Like that girl and stuff, like I hate her. Like, because she's sort of me but more, and she has the qualities that people hate in me but more.
Right.
And so I can kind of take all of that stuff that I feel like people give me shit for, you know? And it's like, because it's like, you know, I, like, oh, Caroline, like, oh, you know, like, I feel like people, like, you know, it's like, all right, you know, okay, like, I get it. Like, I'm bubbly. Like, I'm a bubbly person and stuff, and that's fine. And, but, there was this girl in one of my classes, and I forget what class it was because I hated this bitch so fucking much that she distracted me so fucking much from this class. And I don't even remember what the class was. I just remember this girl. And she was, like, blonde, like, had a bob, and she, like, you know, like, she wore high heels to class and stuff, and which was, I thought, like, I wasn't, like, you know, which is, like, why are you wearing, like, stilettos to school? You know what I mean? Like, why are you know, and she did this thing where she would eat a banana in class. Or she would be walking and eating a banana, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it was like, and she'd like have like, she'd be looking and like she'd have her eyes and stuff, and she was clearly doing something, you know?
She would play up eating a banana. I eat a banana as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Specifically for this, what seems to be the same reason. She was,
you know, doing something. And, which I do from time to time, you know, when I need attention, and I don't think there's any harm in that and stuff, but it's like, she was doing it, and I hated her. I
Yeah.
hated her.
Why do you think you hated her so much?
Because she was kind of a version of me that was more than me.
So do you think it was because
And
you kind of saw your own?
I saw a lot of myself in her. I saw a lot of myself in her, but not quite like that. I do it differently. I'm not like that.
Right, and that's what I
Yeah.
think is the other facet of it, because there's so many different reasons for female misogyny. One, I think, comes from a lot of things. These things come from people are human and they're hurt and they get defensive and they want to be an exception and they want to be liked by others.
Yeah.
Which, of course,
Right.
everyone does.
Right.
So some people reject other women, and sometimes the cheerleaders. I know you were a cheerleader in high school. A lot of times people put, and especially in movies, people put undeserved hatred against those, and I think it's partially because you know you're not living up to this feminist ideal, and so you reject it, and then reject the people that do live up or seem to live up to that ideal in the defense of your own shortcomings. Well, clearly this person is an idiot anyway, so it doesn't even matter that I can't do those things because they're not even good things to do anyway. But not everyone does. I had all three of my cousins were cheerleaders, all three of them, and they were beautiful and they were also smart and funny and kind. And so it was a lot harder for me to hate the girls I couldn't hate my cousins, and I couldn't hate the people that were like them because I was close to them, and so I could see that they weren't just the cheerleader I never was going to be, ever. They were also individuals, and they were, just because they ended up being able to succeed in something that I couldn't do, they didn't deserve to be disliked only for that. So I definitely think people hate against other women partially due to shortcomings that they feel they haven't achieved, and so they reject it as a whole. And also then you have, with female misogyny, the issue of some women want to be the exception to men in their lives that are like looking down.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I want, I don't know, I think it's like a daddy issue thing, you know what I mean? I think a lot of women want to be a son, and and so it's like, I know that, when I have a fatherly connection with an older man, how much that means to me. And I know that when I have a brotherly connection with a man my age, how much that means to me, And so, in these relationships, so it's like, and how valuable they are to me and how special they make me feel, And so if you can get that, by being special, by being a special girl that gets, the eye of a platonic, a man that can see you platonically, that means something very valuable. And almost like the favorite daughter, like the Belle in Beauty and the Beast or in Cinderella, or you're not the evil stepsister, you're the princess, And it's like we're being taught these messages since we were kids, and it's in our psyche, it's not our fault, it's just like we just have to know better. And I'm not better than any woman. I'm not more special than any woman. I don't have more value than any other woman, And so I know that. But at the same time, that girl really, really bothered me. Like she bugged me. Like I couldn't shake it. It was so hard. And so it's like, maybe it's okay to not like someone. But the reason why I didn't like her was definitely like a misogyny thing, you know?
It's not that you didn't like her because of anything she was saying.
A character thing.
Right.
But at the same time, like, what kind of girl, slut-shaming. I'm slut-shaming.
Well, that's the thing, is that it is...
I just know how slutty I can be, and I would never walk around eating a banana like that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. She just really bugged me. Like, it's just like, this is years ago.
You're still bothered
It's
by
like,
it.
she bugged me. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, no one's exempt from being on misogyny. There's some women that really trigger those feelings, of insecurities in you. And it's because she's you. And you hate yourself. So, yeah. Anyways.
Well, there's also I think, female misogyny, how any power structure and the patriarchy is a power structure, you don't want to think of yourself as oppressed. You don't want to think of yourself as disadvantaged.
No.
And you also don't want to be like the people, your family members sometimes, the people that you love, are talking against. Let's say you have a family that is really against women that dress a certain way.
Yeah.
Or not even away from that aspect of it, is really against women that are powerful in what they deem to be a naggy kind of way, or pushy sort of way. You want to make you don't want to think of the idea of people that you love and that you've grown up with disliking you, and so you want to distance yourself from those sort of things that they're seeming to hate so much, and be like, well, those women, I'm nothing like them, I'm better than them. And that's where I think it gets kind of tricky, is that clearly you're not better than anyone. The same as you're not better than any person. It doesn't mean that that you should unequivocally support all women.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Yeah.
There are some people you're just not going to like.
You're
And
just
just
not gonna
because
like.
it's a woman doesn't mean you're a female misogynist.
That's right.
You don't have to like everybody or get along with everybody.
And feminism is about equality, and that means acknowledging that women can be
bad people.
Terrible people, that they can steal, and they can kill, and they can hurt others. And you can't blindly support all women, but you have to be kind of conscious again about why you're disliking someone so much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Have you had examples of, you've talked about briefly about people being kind of misogynistic, other women against you in your own life?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think everybody has experiences with female misogyny, and I mean, it's such a sadness. I was reading this article the other day about Planned Parenthood, and like they're getting sued by women that they fired who were fired while they were on maternity leave. So these women, got pregnant while they were employees at Planned Parenthood, and they became mothers, and then they left. And then while they were gone, taking their 3 months, these precious 3 months to raise a newborn.
Right.
They were told not to come back. And and it's just I know
they told not to come back? I didn't know.
Because they were fired. And I've gotten birth control at Planned Parenthood. I've gotten STD checks at Planned Parenthood. I've always had a positive experience at Planned Parenthood, and always appreciated their services. And then you find something like that out, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? That a place like Planned Parenthood would disrespect mothers in that way. And I think that, like, when shit like this happens, there is a narcissism that comes with feminism that I'm noticing. And there's almost like, there's like a female chauvinism, and so you can't attack the institutions that are being perceived to represent women, even if they're hurting women. And Planned Parenthood, committed a crime, what I perceive as a crime against women, that they were, supposed to empower and protect their employees. You empower and protect your employees. You empower and protect the people that work for you. And when companies don't do that, I think it's a serious issue. And when it's women doing it to other women and in a women-driven business, and it's happening this year and it's happening now, then there's a problem happening with feminism. There's a really serious problem happening with feminism. And I think everybody needs to take a step back and really assess, like, how women are treating each other. Because I have an issue with people disappointing me. I can be so let down and disappointed, and I was a really big Tina Fey fan. I was a really big Mean Girls fan, like I'm sure you were,
Oh, really?
It was, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's such a great movie. It's so great.
It's really good. You'd be surprised how many people don't realize that's Rachel McAdams. Point it out next time you watch it with someone. Most people do not realize it's her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, she's so young in it.
It's the wig. People are usually tricked. But go on.
Well, basically, there's that monologue, women need to stop calling each other sluts and whores. Because if we call each other sluts and whores, men can call us sluts and whores. Yeah. Which is a great message, and which is very true.
Probably the gift portion of the movie, but still one of the most important parts of it.
And it's true. Men are going to see how women treat each other, and that is going to influence them. That is totally an influence for men on how women treat each other. And I think that there are men that are that kind of befriend women that are feminists. Men that are chauvinists befriend women that are feminists to kind of push their boundaries, and kind of get permission, because we are such a politically correct society. And but with the Tina Fey thing, sorry, going from one subject to the other. So the Tina Fey thing.
Following it.
Tina Fey, when the Jesse James, when he was married to Sandra Bullock, and this was way back when The Blind Side happened, and then he ended up.
Sandra Bullock.
I know, everyone loves Sandra Bullock.
I loved her since the beginning.
You know what?
I'm sure. I mean, if it comes out later, that I should. I don't know.
I've heard she's a real, like, it's weird because it's like she's one of those celebrities that you hear nothing but good things about. Like, she's just like a normal person that's nice to everybody.
I don't read any celebrity magazines, but I mean.
And I've heard nothing but lovely things about Sandra Bullock from
this is
celebrity
not
magazines.
related, but I want to bring it up anyway. But with Sandra, she adopted the baby. This is years ago. He's much older now.
Oh, Louis.
He had the funniest facial expressions. It made every trip to my grocery store because he would be on the cover, and he looked angry. I love an angry baby. It's
really?
The funniest thing to me. He just naturally looked angry. He wasn't crying. He just naturally looked upset. Aww. And it was amazing. I'm sorry to go on that tangent.
No, it's
Get
okay.
back to your thoughts
of
on
course.
Tina Fey.
Sandra Bullock, we love you. We love your son and your career. You're just a bright ray of sunshine. We're going to sing the Miss United States song for you right now. From sea to shining sea, like Lady Liberty, she reigns over all she sees. I'm punishing you for creating a tangent. Sorry.
Thank you. I deserved it. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't deserve it. I hate that word, deserve. Anyways, so Tina Fey goes on SNL to defend Sandra Bullock after her husband cheated on her with a woman with breast implants and tattoos. Mm-hmm. And which is like, okay, so the situation is Sandra Bullock, who's no tattoos, beautiful brown hair. She's a wasp. She's like the most white woman wasp alive.
She was a wasp. Is she
of course she's a wasp.
The country? I don't know.
Yeah, she's a wasp. And it's like, she's a white woman, you know what I mean? With no tattoos, clean cut. Like, she looks like Tina Fey. Like, she would play Tina Fey in a movie, right? And then so Tina Fey goes to defend her. Because Tina Fey's going to defend herself. She's not defending Sandra Bullock. She's defending Tina Fey. So Tina Fey says it is wrong. She doesn't attack Jesse James. The man that, put his dick in another woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The man that cheated on his wife. The one man that broke all his vows. She didn't go after Jesse James. She went after the woman that he cheated on his wife with. And attacked this woman. She didn't attack the woman. She attacked the type of woman. She said, women with breast implants and tattoos have poor character and are whores. She literally said whores.
Really?
She said fucking whores. She called women with breast implants and tattoos whores. Tina Fey called women with breast implants and tattoos whores on SNL. And this was after Mean Girls. This was after she said women need to stop calling each other sluts and whores in a fucking movie, in a fucking screenplay that she fucking wrote. Then years later she went on SNL and called women with breast implants and tattoos whores. And I'm not making this up, and I'm not kidding. There's a video. And it's like, it's shocking. It's crazy. It's like you see somebody, that is a huge chink in somebody's armor. And it's like, I don't understand. Because it's like...
And so you were really disappointed by that?
I was so disappointed.
Right.
And it's like, and it's just, I don't know. And I think a lot of women were disappointed, because honestly, after that, Tina Fey kind of dropped off the face of the planet, and that was kind of towards the end of,
She's still doing a lot, I think. There's more behind the scenes.
Maybe
I'm not sure when she did the SNL.
Maybe I just don't care anymore. Maybe after I saw that, I was just kind of like, 'cause she was talking about, women I know, you know what I mean? I've met women like that. I know women like that. They're not whores.
Right.
Some of them end up, going to church and getting their shit together and stuff. And
not that they even have to.
Yeah.
But I get what you're trying to say. Yeah. That is very strange, especially when she already made... I think that a lot of people would get let down with that because someone presents themselves a certain way. And people always have done that. You present yourself a certain way. I think you present yourself as... But it's like a feminist, or you present yourself as a...
But it's like, are you presenting yourself as a feminist, or are you presenting yourself as, this altruistic virgin angel who loves all? You know what I mean? Because it's like, feminism actually kind of has a meaning, and has actually, behaviors that go along with it and stuff that,
Not a lot of us can agree on what the different behaviors are. But
no, exactly. But that's the thing. My own personal brand of feminism means that I love myself and 3 women, and then all other women can go burn in hell. That's my brand of personal feminism.
That's
like
a good brand.
Yeah, that's my feminism. That's what feminism
three
means
women?
to me. You, and Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
All other women could go fuck themselves. You know what I mean? Because that's feminism to me. That's what I think feminism is. That's what feminism means to me. And so I'm a feminist.
No, I'm confused. I want you to explain more on your philosophy on feminism.
It seems that when women say, my personal brand of feminism, they say something that's really not feminist. And then when they say something that's not feminist, then it's like, well, then you're not really a feminist.
Oh, okay, so
but you
you're
can brand it and personalize it to yourself.
Mhm.
And if you yourself aren't a feminist, then why are you calling yourself a feminist? Because it's like personalized to yourself. So it's just a word that has no meaning.
Okay, so I'm misinterpreting completely.
Oh,
so you're
sorry.
joking. You're saying your brand of you were parodying what people's brand of feminism were.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
I mean, you literally hear like examples like that. You know what I mean? Where
Gotcha.
it's just like I
Went
think,
over my head
Yeah,
completely.
and-
Did not catch it. Did not even get close to it. So glad
Really?
No, it's fine.
oh, you
That's
really
why-
thought that I thought
For a
all other
second, I
women
was
should
like,
burn
this
in
is
hell
a-
except you and
This is
Sandra
a
Bullock.
strong take.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Well, for a second, but that's why I told you it went over my head. It happens to the best of us.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was that dry.
Clearly, it's on me. No worries. Yeah.
Sorry. Well,
But no, you're right. Definitely, people
There's-
try to tilt things. And so, you're saying basically, are you trying to
Well, it's like-
have feminism because that's what you believe and that's what you actually profess, or is it because you want that to be part of your
well, I
brand?
mean, I'm just
Well, with people that say those things but then don't follow it through with their future actions, like
Right.
Tina Fey didn't.
I think it's very safe. I
Mhm.
think it's very safe to say my own personal brand of feminism is this. And it's
Right.
like when it's, so feminism, I just don't think feminism has any meaning. Feminism
Mhm.
is just a label that
Mhm.
can really mean anything that's not being backed up by behaviors.
Right.
And I really advocate that we just kind of give up words like that and terms like that and phrases like that and just push them to the side and just strictly look at behaviors and look at words and actions.
Right.
Because if you do,
Mhm.
and you start doing that, then you start seeing like if feminism was just like, scraped off the face of the planet, then you're just looking at a woman calling women with tattoos and breast implants whores.
Mhm.
And you're like, what the fuck, bitch? Why are you
Mhm.
calling women with breast implants and tattoos whores?
Mhm.
But it's like, because she's this, but it's not just a woman calling people with breast implants and tattoos whores, it's Tina Fey. It's a big feminist.
Right.
It is a big fucking feminist that is calling women with breast implants and tattoos whores. And so it's like, oh, a feminist is, if it's okay for a feminist, Tina Fey, to call, women with breast implants whores, then it's probably okay for me to do it, right? And so it's like a lot of women will start going after women with breast implants and tattoos, and guess who are, which is like, women who are marginalized in society oftentimes have breast implants and tattoos. Like, these are women that, the women that feminism was made to protect.
Yeah, you can't generalize.
You're
a lot of
attacking women with feminism.
Mhm.
And it's just... Anyways, that's one example.
I do think you see a lot of people making feminism and altruism part of their brand.
It's for sure.
More than part of their
it's
personal
money.
lifestyle.
It's money. Like, I mean, if you're a female actress, comedian,
Mm-hmm.
singer, and you're not calling yourself a feminist, then you're fucking dumb. You're fucking stupid. Like, how stupid do you have to be to not call yourself a feminist nowadays if you're in the entertainment industry? And it's like, I mean, I don't personally, but...
Well, there
I
was
just-
all that a few years ago. There was a bunch of male celebrities that were wearing those "This is what a feminist looks like" T-shirt. Almost those T-shirts almost went viral. Almost like the ice bucket challenge. You saw so many male celebrities wearing this T-shirt, and part of it was like, okay, you've got a T-shirt now.
Yeah,
What
and
else
then
are
like
we
and
gonna
Zane
do
Zari was
with
probably
us?
wearing one too.
Yeah. So
Because it's like the guys that are wearing
You can
them are
talk
also
all
like
you
James
want.
Franco and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like, okay.
you can talk all you want, but is there any action to back up your words? And when we were first discussing this podcast, you mentioned Lena Dunham a little bit, who
Yeah.
everyone I'm sure has discussed until
Yeah.
it's almost, but
she's sort of fired, I think, from being the feminist movement.
right.
But
I think what a lot of people had with that was that she kept making apologies, which good, you're acknowledging your
She-
wrongdoing, but are you doing it
She wasn't-
really, or are
It
you
was-
doing it because people are mad? And then what does an I'm sorry mean really if it doesn't have any action attached to it?
What bothers me about her apologies is that she does something that's just like, okay, so it's like she writes a book where she talks about sexually abusing her sister. And it's like she was 7 years old. She was a child. There's an excuse there. There's an exception there. The circumstances are different because she was 7. You know what I mean? We're not calling Lena Dunham a pedophile. We're not calling her a criminal. You know what I mean? But we are saying that sticking rocks inside the vagina of a 1-year-old baby is going to cause serious psychological damage to that child. And it's shocking to hear that. And it's a shocking image to put in somebody's head, the vision of a 1-year-old having rocks inserted inside his pussy. I'm sorry, that upset me. That upset me hearing that. And it's like she just and it's like, it upset me because people fucking ignore that sexual abuse happens between siblings. It does, all the time. It's very common. And parents need to look for this. Parents need to watch out for this. Parents need to have conversations with their kids, bad touch, good touch, what the fuck ever. But Lena Dunham is not representing child abuse. Like, she's not representing, like, she's not representing children that have been abused. She's representing affluent, white, liberal women. She's representing herself. She's not representing children that have been abused. So, with her feminism. So, she comes out and she apologizes, and it's like, I'm just learning and growing and figuring out my own thing and coming up with new discoveries and enlightening myself, and everyone just needs to forgive me every time. And it's just like, you literally said a woman who accused your friend of raping her of lying. That's serious. You can't apologize. I'm just learning and growing and I'm sorry. And it's just like, fuck you! Fuck you, you fucking whore! Sorry, it's okay for me to say that because Tina Fey says it is. And she's a feminist.
Well, sure, because that's the issue I've always had with apologies, is that I don't care if you're sorry.
Yeah.
If you've done nothing to really change your behavior. She apologized for putting that passage in, it sounds like, with her sister. Is that, I read up on it to refresh myself, I don't remember about that. But if she...
I mean, yeah, she apologized for upsetting people, for sure.
If you were really sorry about upsetting people, why didn't you remove that passage from any future printings of your book? If you're really sorry about it, why don't you put a warning on the book that says, hey, this book has this section of it may upset survivors of sexual abuse or molestation.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
Exactly.
And I agree that a 7-year-old exploring and sexuality is different, and that genitals are not inherently sexual.
Children exploring their sexuality is something parents should look at.
And part of the reason these kind of things get so controversial and muddy is because there are gray areas. But I excuse a 7-year-old's actions.
Yeah.
It's weird for a grown woman to not see an issue of putting that in your book.
Yeah.
And did you ask for your sister's permission to put that in the book? Because I feel like
I'm sure it was, but
I don't think she ever mentioned that she did. And with the kind of branch she aligns herself with, you don't think maybe some people that you know how many women have been sexually molested as children might have been upset by that portion of your book?
Yeah. Especially when it's like people get molested by their siblings. It happens.
I excuse the child, I don't excuse the adult. Yeah. And she took no action with her apology. I'm sorry you're upset is not an apology. You're not sorry about your actions, you're sorry about their reaction to what you said. I don't think I'm sorry you're upset counts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Aurora Perinu, who her allegation was that she was raped when she was 17 when she was drunk by a man who, and sounds like something that could happen.
Right.
And everything that in her story didn't sound made up. You know what I mean? Like it just sounded like she was drunk with her friends, hanging out with this older guy who was driving them around, and she ended up, losing control and got raped. And, it happens all the time. It's a very common story. Mm-hmm. And so I think when I look for stories of sexual, like, assault or sexual, abuse, I always kind of look for something, like, ridiculous. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's just, like, sometimes there's something about it that's ridiculous. And it's just nothing about it sounded ridiculous. And it just, and so and then that was before Lena Dunham's response. Mm-hmm. And then Lena Dunham's tweeted, she just said, she's lying. This didn't happen, and my friend is innocent. when Lena Dunham has, you know, really, I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, believe victims. Okay, like, I mean, don't believe victims, but, you know, give victims a chance. You know what I mean? Don't dismiss victims.
Right.
Listen to victims. Give them a, you know, and, you know, appreciate that there's a good chance they're telling the truth. And, but, you know, Lena Dunham has always been, let's just believe victims. Let's just assume that they're not lying.
Right.
And that was such an important message. And it doesn't fucking matter anymore. Her message doesn't matter because she burned it down.
Yeah, you proved you don't have much of a follow through with that. And while I do empathize with her reaction, because I think an issue you see over and over again is that people want themselves to be the exception. They don't want. She believed all women until something
happened to her friend who, you know,
and
was
then,
a business partner as well, so we have to include that they worked together and that she was somebody who financially benefited from this man's career.
And so I've always found that there's a danger in absolutes, that if you make something an absolute 0% case, that's going to be hard to follow through on later on. Things are always going to be messy, things are always going to be gray.
Well, also, there is the fact that there is a chance that this girl, Aurora Perrin, was telling the truth.
Right.
And the biggest feminist, you know, person in pop culture at the time called her a liar. I couldn't imagine what that would do to you. Having been raped, finding the strength to come forward and feeling empowered to come forward against a powerful man, a man that had more power and influence than you. And I know what it feels like to be violated by somebody and to be scared to do something about it because you're scared people aren't going to believe you, and if people don't believe you, then people are going to think you're a liar, and if people think that you're lying about being raped, then people aren't going to trust you and people aren't going to be around you. And in the industry, this is a very relationship, you know, industry. You really need to network, you really need to get along with people in order to work and in order to build your career. And so, you know, and men know that, you know, predatory men know that, you know, and I just,
No, I think that would segue a lot to the things that we wanted to talk about with the R. Kelly documentary and the R. Kelly history, because there definitely was a trend of him preying on women who wanted to advance their careers in that case, where he specifically, not always, but specifically at the time, targeted women that wanted to break out in an industry, that is music industry that is so crowded and has so much talent in it that they would be you could justify it to yourself, and you could easily manipulate someone who really, really, really wants it and will look for any way in to get it. So I think he definitely did do that. And then you have the issue of, though a lot of those people weren't believed until they had to get together as a large group, you have to have such numbers to be believed, just to have your story taken seriously.
You have to.
And that's so sad that it has to happen to so many other people to get those numbers in the first place. And it wasn't until Lifetime, because everyone knew about R. Kelly. I knew about it for years previously. I'm not super up to date on pop culture news, so I mostly only knew about the trial with the 14-year-old with the urination case.
Which was actually, I was so amazed with how much details I didn't know. Because until I watched the Surviving R. Kelly, I literally thought the sexual abuse that happened was he met a 14-year-old girl who looked like she was 18 at a concert, took her back to his hotel room, and things got wild, and she was, you know, all for it, you know, and he thought she was an adult, you know what I mean? It was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, people like using that one.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a situation which I just thought was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate for everybody.
Right.
And
Well,
but
people marketed it that way.
Yeah.
People,
that was how they were putting it across.
Because
I was so amazed. He groomed this girl. He had a relationship with her parents. It was
his goddaughter, or allegedly.
He went to her basketball games.
Person in the video.
He went and watched her play basketball at her school, and it was that was. I think, like a moment for me, the fact that he would go to her basketball games.
Well, that's the thing, because I think, and part of what that documentary put on us is how much of are we culpable in it, because we knew that these things, I didn't know the extent of it, and I've never been a particularly large R. Kelly fan, but we knew things were going on, and people are so willing to justify it for our friends and our family, or for things we're big fans of.
Yeah.
We kind of decide that there's a level of talent that if you have, excuses things that wouldn't be excused for others.
Yeah.
I think we were all looking for, like, in that trial case, it was just gray enough, it was just unclear enough that everyone could justify dancing to R. Kelly to themselves. And that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to be able to justify it enough that we could keep on going with our lives until something 10 years, more than 10 years later, said, no, let's get enough people in and make it big enough that it's going to be hard to ignore this time. And it's going to be hard for people to go back to the status quo of how it was, like they want to do.
Yeah.
And so while I was shocked when I first heard about it, that all of a sudden this was news when it was 10 years old, because I'd seen the Boondocks episode about it, that wrote that in detail, I'm not that surprised that of course it had to take, because everyone knew about Bill Cosby. People knew about that for a long time. People knew about Harvey Weinstein. It wasn't news when Hannibal Buress talked about Bill Cosby.
No, it
was
wasn't.
just somebody, it just all of a sudden people paid attention to it.
Well, I mean, it just shows, like, how primitive we still are. I mean, people still operate the way we did, like, thousands of years ago. Because, I mean, like, back in the tribal times, you know, when we, like, were, you know, the families of, like, these traveling people that needed to go to where there was food and meat and stuff. Like, if someone got raped, that person would get married to her rapist because she was ruined, and the person that ruined her was the only person that could now take care of her. So that was how they dealt with it. They just didn't deal with it. That was how it was dealt with.
I don't know.
I think it's a trend that we're going through for, you know, I don't think that this is just such an ingrained part of our psyche that it goes back to our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. And that we operate this way, that when someone gets raped, it's better to just marry her off to her rapist. It's convenient, it's easy, it makes everybody feel better, and that's what we need to do for everybody to all move on. And you know what? The person who's the victim, we never have to see her again. You never have to see her again.
You see that happening. That definitely does happen. I don't know. Yeah. Part of me thinks that we've created a mythos around how we were as cave people, quote unquote, to justify bad actions. That gets used all the time. And there's not a whole lot of real physical scientific evidence to support that people were frequently raped back in caveman times, or to show that that was a certain way. I think that people use the hunter-gatherer thing as a way of justifying the gender roles that we've come up with since then. And hunter-gathering, it wasn't that the hunters need to do all of these things and that that's important, and so women need to gather. And it was an equal
And I think the fact that, you know, women like shopping shows the hunter-gatherer thing exists.
Well, see, that's it, does it? Or are we so used to explaining gender roles and trying to be like, well, this is the way it has to be because this is the way it's been since ancient times. Do we know for a fact that that was what it was? Or are we just letting our own biases from today inform our idea of the past?
I mean, I do think that, like, patriarchal societies were patriarchal because, I mean, somebody pointed this out to me, and it's unfortunately very true, but say there has been a chip implanted in every man that when the signal, you know, goes off, every man is going to just enslave every woman he sees, and men are going to take over, women are going to be put in cages, and we're going to be used just as, like, you know, fruit bearers of children, or like...
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. And it's like, that could happen. You know what I mean? Like, we really couldn't stop it. Like, I mean, men could do that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, really, it's 50-50, and who's stronger? Physically. And who makes up, like, what is it, like 80% of law enforcement in the military? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like, that could be it for us, you know, if that's what happens.
Right, but I think people
which it
are
but
inherently good. I think people, I'm more inclined to believe, and maybe it's just because I have to believe it to function in the world as I do, but people always, when they talk about those self-driving cars, they love to talk about how it would be so easy to manipulate a car accident. It's very easy to manipulate a car accident right now. You can stand on top of a bridge with a laser pointer and shine lights in people's eyes and cause a car crash any day that you want.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to cause car crashes.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't happen. It might not, and probably the same thing would happen with self-driving cars. Most people don't want to enslave women. Most people don't want to hurt others.
Exactly.
And so I think people are inherently good and people want to think of themselves that way. And so that's why it's important to point out issues where you're harming others, really harming them, and you don't realize or you've justified it to yourself.
You know what's really helped me, and in a weird way, is just, I don't know, I'm really like obsessed with original sin. Like I was always,
Really?
Yeah, I think, because I never believed in original sin, and I was always really anti that, and I always thought people are born pure and good. We're born with a clean slate.
Yeah.
We're also born with like just the nature to be, it's too easy to be selfish for us to be born good. You know, it's just too easy to be mean. It's just too easy to look at a girl who's eating a banana and fucking hate her fucking face.
You still hate this person.
I know, yeah. It's just too easy. You know what I mean? And so I think it's like, I think I'm a bad person. But I can make choices that make me feel better. And so a choice to be kind to a homeless man, you know, actually makes me feel better. Because, you know, for a minute I don't feel like a bad person, you know. And I think it's just, I just remember, and I don't know, like my experiences going to church and my experiences with like feminists and stuff is, the second people start referring to themselves as good people and start seeing themselves that way is when that's when they start being a piece of shit. And it's like, it's so sad seeing like a pastor be a piece of shit. You know, it's so sad to me. And it's, you know, and it happens. It's so sad to me to see a feminist icon like Tina Fey be a piece of shit. You know, it's very sad to me. But we're all bad people. We're all, you know, we all are selfish. We all have a lot of pride. We all want to feel like our shit doesn't stink. But
no, that's where things come up because I think everyone wants to think of themselves as a good person while everyone is selfish and has inherently bad qualities. Well, not inherently, but that makes quote-unquote bad decisions. People are it's hard to resist the urge to instinctively defend yourself. And people don't want to be part of the group that they've condemned, basically. So, no, I do think that you have a good point there with, if you start, you can justify so many things to yourself. It's so easy to do. My father is an attorney, and he worked a variety of cases in bankruptcy, and he says, it's amazing, he always told me this when growing up, it's amazing how quickly you can justify stealing from a company. Because you work hard, you deserve a little extra, you deserve a little bit more. People will continue to justify things in themselves until the very end. You can find a way to justify your own actions over and over again.
Well, it's like, Mackenzie and I were talking about, like narcissism, you know, and it was, because I mean, I feel like just the entertainment industry, it's just like everybody is just, you know, kind of has like, everyone's conditioned to be narcissistic. And we're all conditioned to think that there's nothing wrong with being narcissistic and stuff. But it's like, narcissism, in the Iliad, Prince Paris is based off of Narcissus. So Narcissus is the legend, like, you know, he drowns his own, he drowns in his own self-image.
Really? We must have read two different versions of that myth. I had that he starved to death.
He drowned.
No, those were oral stories, so there's 1,000 different versions.
Oh, really?
I must have read the one where he starved to death looking at his own reflection. I didn't know there was one where he drowned.
Oh. No, there was, like, the one where he like, the...
Yeah, either way, he always is
the,
staring at himself in the reflection, and I guess in one version he drowns, and in one version he starves to death.
Oh, the version, it was that he was in love with himself, and then the fairy princess who was in love with him murdered him. That was the version I read.
But she did it by creating by making it so he saw his own reflection. So did she murder him, or did he just stare at his own reflection for too long?
The version I read was that she was hiding in the water, and then when he was staring at himself in his own reflection.
Really? We read very different versions of that myth. I'm glad we talked about it so I could know which version of Narcissus we're talking about. Here.
Well, and
either way.
So Prince Paris is based off of Narcissus, and so it's like, and so it's there's this thing, and it's just I always think of this scene in the Iliad when I think of Narcissus, and I think of narcissistic people, and when you see it's Prince Paris kills Achilles, right, and he's hiding behind a wall, and he's surrounded by guards, and he kills Achilles like a coward. You know, but Prince Paris doesn't see it that way, and he throws a party for himself, and everybody is celebrating his bravery and his accomplishment in killing Achilles and killing this great warrior, no matter how dishonorable he was in going about it.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't know, like you just see narcissistic people, and it's like, you're a coward, like you're so cowardly, like you're just so weak and so sad. And it's like, but they're throwing a party for themselves. And it's just, and I don't know, like you see that. Like you see just these Prince Parises. And like, you know, I'm talking about like there's Princess Parises, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, like I don't want that for myself. I definitely have been that, for sure. And there's, you know, there's a part of me that goes back to it. But I just, there's something so icky about it. It's icky to love yourself that much.
Well, of course in this industry that's going to be rewarded because you have, sometimes I think if you have almost inhumanly faith in yourself to to think that you're worthy of a stage that's now with the internet and television, the entire world. So of course, some of the traits of narcissism are going to get awarded with it, but then you do see the downfall of having.
But with virtue signaling, virtue signaling is just narcissism. Like you don't give a shit about what you're virtue signaling about. You know what I mean? Like it's just you're just shining a light on yourself. You're just putting a halo on yourself and walking around with this Instagram filter, this halo above your head because you posted something on Facebook or because you said something, online or, on social media somewhere. And it's like, you don't get to throw a party for yourself and be this Prince Paris over just doing something that's like the most cowardly way of going about something. Like if you think that posting something online is activism, not only are you not an activist, but you're actually like a coward. Like that's like the most cowardly way of being an activist.
And you can see it, I think partially, because in the early years, Tina Fey's stuff was very much, it portrayed women that had different choices and strong and strong, I feel like we use that all the time, but I adored Liz Lemon. She wasn't perfect, but she was a great character.
It's separating the art from the artist. Like sometimes it's not always like they're a fucking rapist pig. Sometimes it's like they're just liars. They're just phonies.
But it's so dangerous
you have to,
in a public setting to put a halo on yourself, or in this case, it might have been more buying into your own press that was the culprit, with being so many people saying, oh, look at this person, look at this feminist, and it's so great. Buying into your own press too much, because you're never going to live up to an angelic idea of yourself. It's never going to happen.
No, you're drowning in your own self-image.
Eventually, you're going to do something that's going to
And the problem with, if you are a narcissist, or the more narcissistic you become, the more abusive you become. Because the more people question your self-image, And the more, like, if you have this, like, self-image and you're protected and you have this wall around yourself of just, like, I'm this amazing person. I'm this beautiful feminist with a podcast and I love women and I'm here to stop men from raping women and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
you like a superhero at night that just runs around.
Yeah, I know.
That's right.
Exactly,
That sounds like a great hero.
Exactly. There was this woman and she was like, okay, like, she's at, like, a level, like, she's, like, a CEO. She's, like, somebody who does a job that, like, not many people can do. She's an exceptional person, right? And she talks, and she talks about how she goes to strip clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, ugh, okay, she's one of those women. Like, and, which I have a personal bias against that I need to work on and stuff, but it's just, like, anyways.
I want to know more about that later, but go on, yeah.
So she's talking about, like, so she's like, I could be the CEO of my own company, but I could never go on stage and show people my asshole. And it's like she's saying it like she's objectifying women in a really horrible way. She's saying women, like, her abilities, this woman's genitalia is her talent and ability. This woman is what makes her special, her genitalia, you know, her body.
Right.
She's objectifying a woman, you know, while virtue signaling. And it's just like, I just don't understand. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I just don't understand. How you can just say something so awful. You know what I mean? That's clearly so awful. And say it just like, I think women, you know, you just, like, say it like that. You know?
Right.
It's just, and I just don't understand. Like, how can you say it like that? And recently, I just, again, with, like, being disappointed and stuff, like, this thing, like, oh my god, it really pissed me off. Like, I was so mad. Like, this female comedian who I love, who's, like, you know, just, she's, I mean, when you think of a feminist celebrity, she's, like, one of the first people you think of, you know, and I love her. I've been, you know, so, like, last week, Bibi Rexha, that singer, she, you know, she called out, you know, these couture houses for not dressing her because she's a size 10. She's a size 10. She's you know, she's not very big.
No,
she's
size 10, whatever that
she's
means,
got a
women's
phenomenal body.
Okay.
She's got a great body. She's got an amazing figure. And but she's larger, you know, than she's not a stick, she's not a model, she's not, you know, a petite woman, she's, you know, fuller figured. And so these fashion houses said that they don't want to dress her because of they don't want to spend that much money on fabric is the reason. So they only dress women that are, like, a size 6 and under. And it's a way of saving money, and you know, it's how it's a business, and it's fashion, and it's, you know, it's including women's figures and forms and stuff like that, so it's a very sensitive thing. And because of discrimination issues and that sort of thing, I think fashion companies should probably just, you know, flip the bill and dress women that are a little bit bigger, even though it costs more, you know, and represent all bodies. I think that's really important. But, and this feminist comedian, you know, said, you know, she came forward and said, like, you know, I had an eating disorder, and this sort of thing really upsets me. And, you know, and I was like, yes, thank you for saying something, and thank you for supporting this woman and saying something. And then she said, these fashion companies need to dress women like Bibi Rexha. And I remember the like. What do you mean like? Why not just dress women that are, you know? And so she defended a woman who was wealthy, who was famous, a woman who kind of, you know what? I think she's gonna be fine. I think she's gonna live. I don't think she's gonna, you know, die from you know, Versace not making clothes for her. I think she'll be okay. But yes, she's a size 10, and she was defended, and that was good. Good thing. But then a week later, there's this, like, somebody posted this photo and, like, made a joke, like, about, like, road whores, or I don't know, like, just, like, or I don't know, like, something, like, just, you know, like, that kind of phrasing and stuff. And then they posted this photo of, like, this woman. It was like it wasn't a stock photo. It was like, it looked like an actual photograph, like a photo of a woman who was, like, all beat up looking, and she was, like, a hooker, and, you know, like, just, like, had, like, really, like, farmer's tan, and, you know, like fucked up makeup, fucked up, like her face was fucked up and stuff. And it was just like a really unflattering depiction of a woman, and of like a marginalized woman of society that feminism is there for. You would like to think, and that feminists are there for, and that feminists are defending and protecting, because if feminism is going to work, and if we're going to receive feminism, then it's important to address the women that are at the bottom and protect the women that are at the bottom, because if we protect the women. If we protect the women at the bottom, then imagine how good it's going to be for women at the top. If strippers don't get assaulted at strip clubs, imagine how great it's going to be at frat parties. You know what I mean?
It's like a trickle-up
theory.
you're
Exactly.
doing. Yeah,
exactly. If men are taught to respect prostitutes and respect strippers and told to respect women that seem to not respect themselves, because I don't think men respect women. I think that they respect women who they find respectable. And if you're not a woman that men find respectable, then you're not respected. And so feminism is about women who are not respectable or not viewed by society as being respectable. For example, drunk women, women who are scantily clad, women who might be of a different race that a man associates with being lower class, like black women. I know black women are victimized a lot more. And so racism has I'm sorry, I get it's just, there's so many layers to this.
You get passionate about it? Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
It's too much.
Thank you. It's so amazing. I'm so passionate about my issues. Sorry, I'm doing a joke about virtue signaling.
No, I like it.
Okay, alright. Yeah, I'm just because.
So,
but it's
you should teach them to respect people.
Exactly. And, but that's not really the world we live in. And it's not the, and there's a lot of people that, have an appetite for humor that makes fun of these women. And there's, a market there. So, that still exists, and it's still around today, and it's probably not going to go anywhere, and that's, it's just what it is. But I expect women who are feminists to not participate. I expect women that are, making money off of a career that's based on feminism to not participate in that kind of humor.
Right.
And to not participate in, objectifying women in that way. I mean, in any way, but, generally just don't objectify women. And this, this feminist comedian participated and objectified this woman, and who's probably dead now. And and it was and I don't know, I might not know. The woman might have been an actress, or might have been a friend of the person who posted it, or it might have been a joke or something like that. But from what I could tell, it was just a faceless woman that they were. And then also it's I hate that it's they act like they're not following the rules. When it's they are. They didn't post a photo of a black woman or a Hispanic woman. They posted a photo of a white woman. So they're following this politically correct it's crazy, isn't it? The political correct rules and that sort of thing. You can kind of you're attacking a marginalized woman of society, a woman who's been raped and abused for years and years and years. But because she's white, it's kind of okay, But if that woman was black, that would have been that guy's career would have been over. You know what I mean? People would have been would have killed this guy, I don't know.
So the issue mainly is with that one is with people congratulate themselves on not being politically correct.
Yeah, and being these
they're not actually
rebels
having
and
anything
rebellious. Yeah, they're not being
way.
rebels. You're not being a rebel.
You're both staying with this regime we've already set up.
Yeah.
And two, you are obeying political correctness because you pulled your punch a little bit.
Yeah.
With that is the issue.
Well, I mean, I just think it's interesting because it's political correctness is just there are these unwritten laws that people follow so well sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, one thing that came up with your examples that I think is interesting is you talked about the woman saying that with my skills and stuff, I can be a CEO. And then with looking down on women that are strippers or prostitutes or what have you. I think, and this isn't just with women, the whole...
Well, it's that she's looking down on them with a bigotry of low expectations. She's comparing, and it's just...
Well, one of the main pillars of feminism to me is that it's not, the name is feminism because that's the group you're trying to, when you're trying to get equality, you need to concentrate on the one that you're trying to raise up as a whole.
Yeah.
It is about equality as a whole. And I think we put a lot of focus on people's jobs determining their worth. People encourage girls with girl power all the time by saying, you can be anything. You can be president. You can be an engineer. You can be a scientist. And that's great. What if you're not? What does it matter what you actually do? What you do for a living is not that big of a part of yourself. It's a facet of you, but it is no way determine what if a waiter, people look down on waiters all the time. What your job is not actually who you are. You shouldn't respect a woman because she was a CEO, or you shouldn't respect anyone just because they're a CEO, because they've proven that they can make more money or do this specific thing. You should respect people, and to me respecting people means treating them with kindness and with compassion.
Right.
Until they've proven themselves to be actively harming others in a way that either you steal, you cheat, you hurt others through action, not because you shouldn't respect people because you think that they have more money than you, or that, oh, look at this, all the things they've accomplished. I don't care what you've accomplished. You should treat everyone with kindness and compassion until they've proven they don't deserve it because they're harming other people.
Yeah.
So I don't think that just because you can be a CEO doesn't mean that you deserve more respect than others. Yeah.
I think what she was doing
was
I think she was trying to be sex positive in like a way that was just too much. You know what I mean? And so the thing is, strip clubs are a very oppressive environment for women. They are, and there's a lot that can be done to help the women that work in those places.
Right.
And not a lot has been done. And it's like unfortunate. Like Amy Schumer was behind a lot of laws that are actually really hurting strippers and hurting prostitutes and stuff.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like it's just like I don't know. She doesn't know any better.
Did she?
But she's
Was she a proponent for laws that are hurting strippers?
Yeah.
What laws are those?
Well, like there's just regulation changes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
a lot of regulation changes that aren't. That's just, basically, they're forcing women to pay taxes.
I do think you should legalize prostitution if for no other
for
reason
sure.
than for an easy reason of public health safety.
For sure. I mean, prostitution, legalizing it is important because women should be given autonomy over their bodies, and if they want to use their body as a business, then...
Well, that and Germany requires their registered prostitutes to get checked for diseases with every few, I don't know if it's months or weeks.
Well, there's
so
regulation
is the women's safety, but two, just public health safety as a whole. If people are going to get to it anyway.
There's a lot that can,
and it's
there's
not
a lot
actually going to kill you like some narcotics will with that. Then shouldn't you bite the bullet and help your people and make sure no one's going to get HIV because there's no way of checking, or make sure no one's going to get killed because it's easier to kill prostitutes?
There was a woman who was killed in Texas legally. There was a prostitute who was killed in Texas legally because she went and she had sex with a man for $300, and she left with the $300, and the man went out and he shot her, and because she was stealing his money, and because he was on his property with $300. And he said that she was stealing it, and that it was all legal. Because in there, I mean, if you're being robbed and someone's robbing you can kill them.
Ground loss.
Yeah.
I guess you can't really speak out about whether or not she was robbing when you are dead.
No, I mean it was a transaction. It was her money.
Well, no, I know. I believe that she wasn't robbing.
He killed somebody. He murdered somebody. He murdered a woman legally, and I mean. Like, I get so upset. Like, it's just like, I just can't believe that shit happens. You know what I mean? And, God, it's like, there's nothing I can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
it's just
you
like,
should
I guess it gets frustrating for me because it feels like there's nothing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see women where it's like, you know what? There's nothing I can do, but there's really something she can do.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on this guy's Instagram page, and she's objectifying a prostitute, you know, she could do something,
right?
And it's just I don't know, it just
that's what upsets you when people that you feel like more power than you do.
Well, not only that, but she's like she's saying that she's the kind of person that would care about this woman who was murdered, and because she was a prostitute and because she was a marginalized woman of society who was very vulnerable. and a man who had the intent to kill. This is an absolute SVU case, you know, like, and I don't know, it's just like, it doesn't really seem like the feminists in the entertainment industry really give a shit. And I think that there's a lot of money in the demographic of women who are 15 to 35 who find a lot of comfort in the feminist message.
Right.
And so I get so frustrated with feminists who aren't really feminists in the entertainment industry representing feminism when they're not really feminists. And, you know, and I don't know, like that picture of that woman, you know, because it's like I know her. You know what I mean? I'm a dancer. I work at, you know, and where I work. And there's this woman who worked there for a while. Her name was Kimmy, and she actually the bathhouse that's like just a couple blocks down the street. Like she like lived there for a while.
Huh.
Yeah, like I know, like it was kind of.
That's a little concerning.
I know, like well she was having so many problems for a while. It was really bad, and so she got really drunk at work once, and she like she threw up and she wet herself at the same time.
Oh wow, that is a bad day.
And like I know, and also like in the stripper heels and the you know the thigh high.
That's gonna be worse.
The lingerie and stuff like where you know I mean it was just such a mess. It was just such a mess.
She wasn't on stage when that happened.
No,
was she?
no, it was in the dressing room, and it was just
Yeah.
it was such a mess. It was such a horrifying mess. Just seeing, and it was just like, you know, and so I know that you know it's hard to. You don't see it. You don't fucking see it. What patriarchy and what oppression to women does to women. And it's just like, there are children being born who are like, you know, it's just like they have a life sentence of being a prostitute or being in like a sex addict because they're born with mothers who don't give a shit about them and let like men like rape them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's common. It happens all the time. And it's just, and I don't know, like, it's just, like, it's common, it happens every day, it's happening right now as we're speaking, and so what are we doing? You know what I mean? So, like, okay, so what are we gonna do now? You know, like, what, so what are we gonna do? You know, like, and it just seems like these women who are making money from feminism, they're not asking themselves that question.
Right. I definitely... Sometimes I don't know about... I feel like there's a lot of pressure these days for people to have celebrities always use their platform for lack of a better term, social justice.
I feel like they're using it to tell people how to vote, you know,
Right.
which is important, I think. I mean, you know, it's important.
Does it matter? Because I've never seen a celebrity opinion growing up in Tennessee. I've never seen a celebrity opinion change someone's mind.
I know.
And clearly,
that's
a bunch
true.
of celebrities saying how you should vote
Yeah.
doesn't actually affect things.
I know.
So while I feel like there's a lot of pressure on celebrities to use their platform to speak about these issues, and while some absolutely should, I don't think every celebrity should have to use their work, which is an entertainment industry, so sometimes I'm like, are you taking yourself a little bit too seriously with how much you really affect people's lives? But you could use your power, like Lena Dunham had a show, to employ... She knew people had a problem with how white her show was, but she apologized for it and didn't actually put that many more people of color writers in her room. You had the ability to put more people into your writing room.
Well, she
could have that.
Well, she cast her friends. That was what my understanding was. That she like she cast women that she went to school with, you know, and so
get
it was
some more people. Get in some. If you are really sorry about it, have some change. But also, if you're not going to use your platform to speak about the issues, which fine, maybe there could be not more, but maybe there could be value in someone using their power for action, to employ more women and get them in the writing room, more people of diverse backgrounds, and actually, instead of talking all the time,
well,
why
just
don't
on
you
a
do
PR
something?
level,
Right.
like on the feminist PR level, like if you have if you employ all white people, maybe don't speak about diversity. You know what I mean? And it kind of seems like a lot of people who, you know, all white friends, all white, you know, like entourage, you know what I mean? Like life.
I'm just sort of tired of people using their platform only to talk. And if you have this platform and you really are passionate about it and you really want to speak about these things, great. No one's going to stop you. You have the right to do that. But if you really believe it, why don't you use the money and that comes with your position to put some money toward charities to really affect the change? Because clearly them saying their opinion on these issues, I'm not sure how much of an effect it's really happening. Most people change their mind on issues when it comes from their families, their friends, people they know and respect. I don't know how much a celebrity's opinion really changes people's mind, but maybe they could use some of their money and some of their power to give to programs that do help women's shelters or things like that, rather than talking all the time. I'm kind of tired of people acting like you have to use your platform to say all these things, or people acting like just talking is enough.
Yeah.
Like you said, that is it activism to retweet someone? Maybe not. Maybe not really, because what are you really changing when you're retweeting someone? We had a whole Me Too movement, and while I would never knock the Me Too movement, in a way it opened also, it's almost mocked now all the time. Whenever I hear it referenced recently, it's
I know.
as a mockery more than anything.
Because it's, I mean, God, I'm really disappointed with Aziz Ansari because, I guess maybe there's a good conversation to have been had there, but it's like...
Well, he presented himself a certain way, and people were let down, which is exactly what's going to
And I think that was sort of like, he was the first of many people that were like, oh, you're a piece of shit, and you don't do the things that you're telling other people to do, and it's just, it's so... Like, it's icky, you know what I mean? It's like an icky feeling.
I haven't heard anyone say icky in 5 years,
and I'm
so glad I got to hear it twice today.
It's just, or like cringy or something.
No, I like icky. Please stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like,
it's true.
I was such a huge Kevin Spacey fan. I loved all of his movies. I thought he was so great, and I was so inspired by his, like, backstory and his, what he went through with his dad and stuff.
You see, I actually don't know much about Kevin Spacey at all.
He had, he was, like, sexually abused by his dad growing up and stuff, and, like, he overcame a lot. Like, he was, like, an overcomer. Like, that's how I saw him, and that was how he was, like, really putting himself across, was that he was an overcomer who was sexually abused by his Nazi dad, And, all right, segment... It's called 10 Characters in Television and Movies That We Think Emulate Masculine Characteristics and Not Female Ones to Portray Strength.
So that's always something that's bothered me a little bit, is that I think partially because we think of masculine characteristics as strong ones so much in our, just as a culture in our day-to-day lives, that when they're first thinking, okay, people want to see more women in action movies, people want to see more women in this, I want to make them, I'm getting pressure to create a strong female role model.
Yeah.
How do I make a woman strong? I'm just going to make her act like a man.
I know.
You can't just slap a female name or a female body onto a male character, and now it's a representative of female strength. It's not the same thing.
That happened once, where it worked was where they cast, what's her name? She's super famous. Alien.
Alien is different.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah,
Sigourney Weaver. Ridley was a man originally, and then they didn't change anything. They just cast a woman, and but it's like she played it feminine. I saw a woman. I didn't think that there was anything unusual or off about her, or think that like she was.
Well, no, it's not to me that the issue is having women that have masculine traits, because of course it's going to exist the same way that you have boys who have quote-unquote feminine traits that we've coded toward femininity. But it's that when people are presented as strong because they act like men, that I take issue with.
Yeah, exactly. So, what are some of the characters?
Do we want to start with... I'm going to start with some representations I found. And I found so many. I don't want to make it think like there's not a lot of examples. I have so many. But examples where I found where women are... I don't like using the word strong, but strong or dynamic characters that can
strong
carry,
female character is like is a search in Netflix. You know what I mean? So.
To me, strong female character means a woman that could exist in real life, that has her own ambitions and her own...
Right.
She can carry herself. She's not attached only to a man. That's what a strong character means to me, is a woman that I could see being real, that can carry her own story.
Right.
So one example I found of those, because there's a bunch, I made a list, is Molly Weasley in Harry Potter. People talk about her a lot of time for her final scene where she says, "Not my daughter, you bitch," and kills Bellatrix. It's a great scene. But she's a mother of 7 children. Mm-hmm. And she's never looked down on for supporting the war effort in Harry Potter through feminine traits. People kind of acknowledge that would be a tough job to be a mother to 7 children mm-hmm. and their friends. And she never makes anyone feel bad about bringing their friend for dinner. Yeah. She contributes to the order by making headquarters fit to live in. She does the cleaning, she does the cooking, and it's not...
Well, she's like the maternal figure of the story. Right. You know, she's everyone's mom.
And no one's ever going to look down on her for being, for doing those things. While maybe a spy's effort is important to the war effort, no one is ever disregarding her contribution to it. She's respected throughout the story for her maternal traits. Mm-hmm. She's warm to Harry. She's not some unconditional love machine. She yells at her children and gets upset when they do upsetting things like steal a car mm-hmm. and fly across the country. So they don't portray her as some feminine ideal that you have to be. Yeah. But she is respected throughout the story, and when she has an action moment, it's realistic for what she'd be able to do. She's not super strong. She's not super gifted in magic or some sort of special thing that she would be needed to make her on that level as with male characters. She's angry, and she does a spell that she would be physically capable to do. Mm-hmm. And she does it while her reasons were behind it of maternal love for mm-hmm. her children. I just think that I liked how throughout the story, even though she was a housewife and they're not always respected in media, she was completely respected and treated as an authority figure and loved throughout the books. And I really liked having a housewife and a stay-at-home mother in particular have that strong of an influence on a story, especially when there's action at the end. So she's one of mine for that. What's one of yours?
I really liked, sorry. I liked Daenerys from Game of Thrones, but I guess the one character I have from Game of Thrones that I really liked, that maybe is a little problematic, but I always was a big fan of Marjorie Tyrell.
I loved Marjorie Tyrell.
I really loved her too, mm-hmm. because I mean, like, Game of Thrones is written, like, they kind of match,
Game of Thrones has its faults. Everyone knows that. Continue about Marjorie Tyrell. Yeah.
So Marjorie Tyrell is just, like, she's just, like, that. She's a game player. She was mm-hmm. playing the game, and she was, like, she had an ambition, and she had a goal.
Right.
And then and then she died.
That broke my heart. No, I adored Marjorie. She was cunning. She, a lot of time, used what people thought of with women. She used low-cut dresses to propel her own. And she used people's idea of women as virtuous mm-hmm. to paint herself as the victim when the men that she married were no longer capable or dead and unable to get her goal of mm-hmm. being queen. She was unapologetically ambitious. Yeah. And she was smart in how she went about it. She played people's expectations.
Because she had 3 husbands, mm-hmm. or like 3 husbands, right? And each one, I loved how she would she played mm-hmm. her role where it was like, I have to be a wife, and I have to be a queen, I have mm-hmm. to be like this person's bride. And she would maneuver herself to be like his perfect person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So when she was like married to like a gay guy, she was like, okay, how do we do this? I'm gonna get pregnant. And it's like, and then she's like started working with him on like how to get her mm-hmm. how to get pregnant. And then she was like married to a psychopath, and she was like, oh, okay, well, show me your weapons.
She's gonna play to get to his ego.
Yeah, mm-hmm. exactly.
All right, that was my episode with Kat Moore. She is so, isn't she great? Kat Moore is just an amazing girl. I'm so happy that she decided to come on. I've been asking her to come on just for quite a while, and so she finally said, okay, I'll do it. And yes, she did, and we had a great time, and I'm so excited that she was here today. Anyways, have a lovely evening, and thank you so much for watching. And also, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really supports the podcast. It really supports me. It's a huge help. Thank you so much. Bye.